Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's your boy back again with another video. Today's video, I'm kind of just gonna be going over my thoughts and opinions on the gaming community as a whole recently. The inspiration for this video comes from someone who I came across on my TikTok feed, and I think what he said was very true. It really got me thinking. Like, what he said in that video was basically that gamers these days don't really like to play games like as a whole, like as for what it was, like what it used to be. Gaming used to be just something to take your mind off, escape reality, and just enjoy yourself, and not a whole lot of people judged you for what you played, and everybody had their own little fandoms, their own little communities, and overall it just used to be a much healthier environment in general. I want to say, like, obviously pre-COVID, I want to say it was like the best time for gaming, just because after the whole Warzone craze and things like that came up during COVID, it was just it just all went down the hill from there. Like, in the video, he said that basically nowadays people just play games just to like hop on a trend. Like, they just play the new hottest trending game because everybody's talking about it. It doesn't even matter if it's your kind of game, or like a genre of game you even enjoy. Like, just because it's trending and just because it's hot, people want to get on it, and they play it for like a month, 2 months max, and they finally realize, like, hey, I low-key don't even like this game, or like how it plays, or like anything about it, so I'm gonna hop off. And because I hopped off, now the game is dead. You know what I mean? Like, people there's way too many people these days that think just because a game is still like being played by other people that they don't play anymore, and it's been like a few months maybe after release, that all of a sudden that the game is dead. Like, no, that is not how that works. Just because you don't play a game anymore, and you feel like your opinion matters so much and you are the majority of players of that game, like, that doesn't mean that is what's fact. The fact of the matter is that there are so many games that people like to say is dead, but are really just like, they're doing healthy, they're doing good. Otherwise, they would have stopped getting support by now, obviously, by the devs. Take for instance, like, games like Valorant, like, or what else? I guess you could throw like Arc Raiders in there. That was pretty recent. Excuse me. But like, games like that, people very obviously, they're not happy with the game as a whole, because it was never their style of game to begin with. They only play the game because they hopped on a trend, and now that said game is not their cup of tea, and they're realizing it, and they're moving on to the next big thing, now all of a sudden the game is dead, and people will be in your comments talking about, like, wow, you're still playing this, bro? Or like, you'll be playing a single player game that is just this abstract concept to people, and for some reason, right, like, there'll be people in those comments, and you know what people I'm talking about, there'll be those people in those comments, talking about, oh, bro, what the hell are you playing? Like, take for example Stellar Blade, like the gameplay I have in the background. Like, Stellar Blade, great game, amazing game. A little questionable angles at times, obviously very over exaggerated designs in terms of like the main character and all that, but the game plays great. Like, it feels great to play. Combat's fun. Like, story is interesting enough. I won't say it's anything too groundbreaking, but alright, let's take like another example of a game, right? Pragmata, right? Pragmata, pretty recent, came out. There'll be people, like, just if you're streaming the game, or just like, hey, you guys probably should hop on this if you want like something different. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty good. And there'll be those people in the comments like, bro, what the fuck are you playing? Like, what is this? Like, trying to downplay it, like trying to shame you for playing something that's not, freaking 2K or FIFA or COD. Like, just because you play other things besides those, like, mainstream games that for some reason still have fan bases, you're all of a sudden this weird, like, exile that people want to just try to clown you for playing something that's different. And I don't know, it just kind of, like, it just really frustrates me, the state of gaming right now. Like, we come out with all these live service games that most of the time will die in like 3 months tops, but they all want to try to recreate the success of like Warzone or Fortnite or like Valorant, like the hero shooter route. And it's just, it gets tiring. seeing these, games trend for like a month or two max on all over my For You page, and then the craze finally dies down and people are still playing those games, and other people are trying to shame them for playing it still. It's like, dude, just let people play what they want to play. Like, if this person really likes this game and the fundamentals of how it works, like, let them be, bro. Like, let them play the fucking game. Why does everybody have to be playing the next hottest thing all the time? Like that's not what it should be. And so, like, I don't know. It just goes, like, it really tells me that, social media, especially like streamers, definitely have had like a pretty big impact on people like our younger generation. Just for some reason, they have all lost their critical thinking skills, and they can no longer think for themselves. Now everybody just has to, oh, my favorite streamer is playing this, so now I gotta play it. And then when the streamer's no longer streaming that game, now they gotta move on to the next thing he's streaming. And oh, yep, that game that he was playing 2 months ago, yep, that shit is dead in the water. Like, bro, that is not how that is not how gaming works. Most of the time, right? And I'm gonna bring up Destiny, the original Destiny, not Destiny 2, the OG Destiny game, right? Like, most of the time, live service games like that are supposed to be supported for at least a couple of years post-launch, right? That's most of the time. That is what the developers intend to do with the game, right? They release it, and they keep updating it throughout, for however long they, feel like developing it, right? Or feel like supporting it post-launch. It shouldn't be like situations like Concord, where they're trying to squeeze into this market that's already oversaturated, like, the hero shooter market, or like the 5v5, search and destroy esque game mode shooter game. You know what I'm trying to say, right? Like, that market is already, like, we have everything we need. We have our Rainbow Six Siege, we have our Counter-Strike, we have our Valorant. Like, we don't need any more games in this like niche. Well, not niche, but you know what I mean. Like, in this general category, you know what I mean? Like, we need, like, as developers, I'm gonna need developers to start branching out to other things, because I don't know how many more Concords it's gonna take for people to realize, the developers to realize, like, and especially like the big game, big company CEOs, like, I'm gonna need them to realize, like, hey, these games, they are not the moneymakers anymore. Like, our Warzone, our Fortnite, like, their times have passed. Like, they already have their fan base. We don't need any more games in this area. Like, we're good. Let's go back to making single player. Like, what happened to making, like, single player, story driven games? You know what I mean? I'm not trying to sit here and whine and say, oh my god, we're not getting nothing ever, because we are getting stuff, like, here and there. It's just a lot less frequent than I would like. And it's just so unfortunate what the current state of gaming has come out to be, because, especially, like, and this is one I always like to bring up too, like Dead Space. The Dead Space remake, that was such a tragedy. Like, the fact that EA said that they were no longer gonna, remake any of the rest of the games, it was really disappointing to hear, because, some greedy CEO didn't like the sales that the game made, which, by the way, the game literally, it did well. Like, it did not do bad. It wasn't a flop. It's just because EA is so damn greedy that they wanted to hit a certain number, and they didn't hit that number, so now they're like, well, now we don't want to fucking support this anymore, so we're gonna cut it. It's done. No more Dead Space remakes. And it's so crazy, because, like, there is money to be made in this area, right, of gamers. Like, I don't understand how they don't see, like, the success of games like Resident Evil, like Requiem. That game came out and did freaking amazing. People love that game. Dead Space is also, like, it's not, obviously not the same thing, but, like, similar in style of gameplay, right? And it's just such a missed opportunity, and I hate that we can't have nice things because people are so damn stubborn and they don't want to give other things a try besides their freaking multiplayer live service slop games. And, I don't mean to shame people that, like, play those kinds of games, like the live service games. Like, play what you want at the end of the day. If that's what you want to play, hey, play that. You be happy with what you want to play. I'm not knocking anybody for playing those kinds of games, but I'm specifically targeting people who play those kinds of games and just hate on anything else that comes out that is not that kind of game. because they're so close-minded and they don't want to give anything else a try. That's really all I have.